Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Technical Tim here, and I want to thank everyone so much who's been liking all my videos and subscribing to the channel. And I'd really appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up or subscribe if you haven't already. And I'm just going to do a quick recap video, and I got a few new subscribers this week. So if you're new to the channel, what I do on these videos is I kind of go through every fight on the card, and I kind of talk about it from a betting and technical perspective, and talk about what I thought before and after each fight. I had a few bets. I had a prop overall on the night. I risked about 6, I think, units or so, and I ended up winning like 2 or something around there. I forget exactly, but so I was glad to get out of the night with a win because it was a pretty crazy card. But I had a unit on Kai Kara France, and that didn't hit. Moreno looked good. I'll talk about that fight later. I also had, in a parlay that closed out, I had not Araujo inside the distance, and that hit. Then I had Usman for 3 units, and that hit. But because it was such a good call, like, I usually start at the bottom of the card, but I'm going to start with the Covington fight because that was an amazing fight. Let me pull up the card. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, so Usman knocked out Covington in round 5. So I had someone kind of like ask me on Twitter, like, do you think Kamaru was the value side? I got him at minus 160 to 170. And like, I guess what I would say is, I mean, if they stand and strike the entire fight, then no, I wouldn't want to bet Kamaru because, like, I mean, that was a competitive fight. But, like, I don't think anyone could have anticipated that neither guy would attempt a takedown. These guys generally, like, neither guy attempted one, and they average, I think, like, not exactly, but I think if you prorate it over 5 rounds, these guys would average, like, shooting, like, 14 takedowns each. And so the fact that they didn't do that was kind of crazy. And I thought, like I had said, whenever I did a video on this fight, I thought Usman had the advantage on the feet. And I didn't think it was, like, dominant, like, at all. I didn't say that. I just thought he would be able to compete there and he would land some big shots and be fine. And I favored him slightly there. And so the feet actually went similar to how I thought. I never thought Usman would slow down. I do think, but it's hard because I feel like if Usman mixed in grappling more, I feel like maybe maybe you could justify his line, but we don't know for sure. So it's hard for me to answer that question. So I don't really know because obviously if they strike the entire time, I don't want to play Usman at minus 160. But he still, like, looked like a bit of a favorite on the feet, in my opinion. Like, I know some rounds were close, but at the same time, Kamaru outlanded him by 30 strikes throughout the fight. And he also, like, he did a lot more damage as well, and he was also the one advancing. But the way I scored the fight was round 1 I gave to Covington, and also Covington outlanded Kamaru in round 1, 39-34. I also thought he landed cleaner shots in that, so I thought that was the clearest round for Colby of the fight. Round 2, I thought this was a toss-up. It was 50-50, and I looked at the numbers after I rewatched the fight, and then I looked at the numbers up round by round because I wanted to see how I matched up. Round 2, I literally wrote 50-50. I have no idea, and the strikes were dead even. They're 41-40. They're dead even. I thought Kamaru landed a little more damaging shots, especially to the body. But I thought Covington landed very clean-looking shots to the head. So I marked that to a 50-50 round. I feel like you can't really hot take to either side. That was just a very, very competitive round. Round 3, Usman dominated. And this was besides round 5, because it ended up being a finish, obviously, but this was the clearest round of the fight. And Usman, and I had that marked down, clear Usman round. He outlanded Colby 29-8 and kind of dominated him in round 3. Broke his jaw at the end of round 3 as well. So it was funny because people were like, oh, he took over after he broke the jaw, but that's actually not true because Usman outlanded Covington 29-8 in round 3, and the broken jaw happened on the last punch of that round as well. So he really was dominating and then broke his jaw in round 3. Round 4, just like round 2, I chalked it up to exactly a 50-50 round whenever I was watching it. And when I looked, again, just like round 2, it was separated by 1 strike, 36-35. And that one, I thought it was kind of the same thing. I thought Usman landed some more damaging shots, especially to the body, and was the one going forward, like in round 2. But Colby landed some clean-looking shots to the head. So I was kind of like, I don't know. I really don't know. So I thought round 4 was a 50-50 round as well. And then round 5 was Usman. And so, like, whenever I say that, and to summarize again, pretty clear round 1 for Colby, in my opinion. Round 2, 50-50. Round 4, 50-50. And then round 3 and 5, I thought were very clear Usman. And so I could see the judges had it 3-1 Colby going into 5, 3-1 Kamaru going into 5, and 2-2. And I could see all those scorecards being justifiable. But I do think if you looked at the fight, so whenever you go round by round scoring, this was very competitive. But I do think if you look at the fight as a whole, I thought Usman did a lot more because he did outland Covington by 30 strikes because he had 2 dominant rounds, and he also just hurt Covington a lot more. It's because, like, when Colby would land clean, Usman never took a back step, and he was the one advancing the entire time. But and I felt like when Usman was like landing clean, Colby would start retreating, like he'd get hit to the body, kind of hold it, and like, he just showed more. He kind of just showed more responses to the big shots landing than Kamaru did. So that's kind of why, like, overall in the fight, I thought Usman won the striking overall a little cleaner. But round by round, it was very competitive. And, like, either one of those guys, I think, are capable of winning a pure kickboxing fight versus each other. I do think the X factor was the power for Usman, though. And I never understood why people thought Kamaru could not keep up with Colby's pace. I just didn't get it. I thought there was evidence of striking fights on tape where Usman never took a back step that he'd be able to keep up. So it was kind of a weird fight because, yeah, like, it was competitive, but it played out to where Colby was supposed to have the advantage on the feet, and Kamaru still won. So yeah, it's kind of a weird fight for me to, like, think about in hindsight if it was a good bet. It was obviously, like, a little bit of a nerve-wracking bet for sure because it played out where, like, I felt like Kamaru should have mixed in wrestling because I do think he had the advantage there, although it was speculative. But I do want to give credit to both guys. That was a fucking crazy fight. And those guys are the 2 best welterweights in the world. And I think they pretty much dominate anyone. They didn't even show the best part of their game, which is their wrestling and how they can melt people with that. Next fight, and probably my biggest regret of the night, was Volkanovski and Holloway. I thought Volk was alive here, and towards the end of and you guys probably heard me, I went on like a couple different podcasts this week, and I also talked about this whenever I was talking to Ugabe. Like, I really thought Volk had a shot here, and I didn't like the Holloway bet. Like, the striking numbers kind of showed Volkanovski was very, very live here, and I kind of regret not playing him, but at the same time, the reason I didn't play him is I thought, my theory was that Holloway tends to dominate when he slows people down. Volk doesn't slow down. Volk was going to land leg kicks. I think that was pretty clear going in. The question mark of this fight was, can Volk, land head strikes, and can he avoid the head strikes of Holloway? In round 1, it was pretty clear he could do both. That he wasn't going to just get lit up with head strikes by Max, so he was going to be able to land leg kicks of his own, land head strikes of his own, avoid a lot of head strikes, and get some occasional clinch time. And when that head strike battle was answered in round 1, like, after round 1, I was like, Volk's going to win this fight. Because, 1, he took a clear round, and I thought those questions were kind of answered a little bit. But I thought Volk won clear. Like, I see some people trying to make an argument for Holloway. Like, I scored at Volk 4-1, and he outstruck him every round. But he did land a lot of leg kicks, so you can't just look at the striking numbers. But he outlanded him every round. Like, I thought Volk won pretty clear, and he's got a really high fight IQ. Let me look. That's not true. Volk outlanded him the first 3, and then the last 2 rounds were like dead even. So I thought Volk won 4-1 personally. I could see 3-2 though. But yeah, Volkanovski looked really, really good. So congrats to the Volk bettors. Nunez and GDR. This is why I thought Nunez was justified as a pretty big favorite, is that she was probably going to get takedowns. And the reason why I thought she would get takedowns is GDR, everyone talks about her takedown defense, but a lot of her takedown defense recently has been against Raquel Pennington and others who tried to get her try to take her down via clinch takedowns. And if you watch Nunez and GDR in the first fight, Nunez actually dropped to a double, and that's what Nunez does. And if you watch all of Nunez's recent fights, she goes for a double leg. And these like kickboxers who kind of like know how to fight in the clinch tend to have good clinch takedown defense, because there's clinching in the style of fighting that they come from. But like defending an open space type of double leg is a lot different, and I like, she never showed me she could do that, so I didn't think she was going to be able to keep this on the feet, and Nunez kind of dominated her. And then I thought on the feet it was going to be like, fairly competitive, so I thought a fairly competitive kickboxing fight, but you have a massive ground advantage. But it was kind of a sloppy fight at times, and Nunez just like tried to go for the kill early, which wasn't very... I get going for the finish, but I feel like you kind of have to let off the gas a little bit at some point. But yeah, kind of a sloppy fight. Marlon Moraes and Jose Aldo. I don't think it was a robbery either way. I tended to lean Aldo, but rounds 1 and 3 were very close. And it was low volume, just separated by a few strikes. I kind of thought Aldo was the one moving forward, though, and that's why I kind of gave it to him, because I do think the aggressor should get the rounds in those situations whenever it's close. But I think I gave Marlon 1, Aldo 2, Aldo 3. But I figured it would be a pretty close fight, so I stayed away from that one. Yan and Faber kind of went as I thought Faber did a good job of like trying to keep it like a low volume fight early, which I thought it was his best chance. So he kind of did well early, but then eventually Yan started cutting off the cage more and kind of started corralling him behind the black lines and kind of landing his strikes from there. And yeah, I didn't think Faber looked all that bad as far as like his move. He's always been kind of low volume. I think like even Faber in his prime was going to get beat badly by Yan, I think it's more so like Jan's very good, but I think the sport has evolved a little bit since Faber's been around. So like every fight's going to be tough for him. The bantamweight's stacked, man. Neal had a good win. Kind of a quick KO, like nice win by him. Not much to say. Aldana and Vieira. Aldana, that was a fucking beautiful KO. First of all, like you really rarely see one standing punch knockouts in women's MMA. Like you can think of some, but they're few and far between, which is why I generally fade them in general, which we'll be talking about with Ian Araujo later. But like great KO, and I figured this was kind of a fight where Vieira's a better grappler, but she tends to not wrestle enough, so you can't trust her to do it. And then she showed up in this fight. She didn't try to grapple, and she was kind of in a competitive kickboxing fight until she got knocked out. Akhmedov and Heinisch, kind of a close, sloppy fight. Don't really have much to say. Brown and Saunders, kind of a weird fight. I bet so many people had the the fight doesn't go the distance and a bunch of parlays, so they were probably sweating a little bit whenever it kept being a Saunders kept going in mission control. But one thing Brown kept doing really well was it's important when someone's trying to triangle you to, if they got the triangle in, to kind of get wrist control, because then if the person going for the triangle doesn't have their hands to kind of adjust your head or make adjustments on the triangle, it can kind of give you opportunities to get out. And Brown was using a lot of crafty veteran ways to keep wrist control. He was going like behind Saunders' back and going to the far side too, and he just kept wrist control, good composure, and nice little win for Brown there. Saunders has no durability though. He probably needs. It's sad seeing him KO'd as many times as he's been KO'd now. You know, Hooper and Tamer. It was a fucking mess of a fight. Don't really have much to say there. Hooper looks like he's like 9 years old. It's fucking hilarious. Yeah, I feel like he could maybe get a following because people could maybe relate to him a little bit because he's got kind of just like your normal kid. Moreno and Kai Kara-France. I had Kai Kara-France in this fight, a small 1-unit play. I thought round 1 went to him, and then Moreno took over round 2 and 3, got the rightful win. And Moreno, like, I picked Kai Kara-France because I didn't think Moreno didn't end up wrestling, so we don't know. But I thought Kai Kara-France would scramble up and keep it on the feet, and I thought Kai Kara-France would probably win on the feet comfortably, honestly. But Moreno has really improved, and I had somebody like kind of talk to me, and they're like, "Did you see him in his LFA fight?" Because his striking looked improved in that fight. And I said, yeah, I watched it, but against UFC competition, like anyone's striking, or against non-UFC competition, I feel like anyone's striking can be looking a little better. So I don't put as much stock into that. Hold on one second. My phone keeps ringing. But yeah, I don't put as much stock into it, you know. But I'm not going to underestimate Moreno. Again, the funny thing is I think his career high landing in significant strikes, which is one of the reasons why I faded him here, but he proved me wrong. I think his career high was like 54 significant strikes, and this one he landed 91. So he's definitely improved, and he proved me wrong, so good win for him. And Araujo, I thought people were getting a little crazy on the Araujo bet. She doesn't land a lot of volume, and I can pretty much match her volume, and it was in the striking numbers. And I's just kind of durable and tough, and I thought she was just going to make it a close fight, and I kind of took over and got the rightful decision here. I played not Araujo inside the distance at minus 400 in a parlay. I know it's juiced, but I don't think Araujo, pre-fight or after watching that fight, I don't think she finishes I 2 out of 10. I did not think she could sub-I. I's crafty on the mat, and good guard retention. Whenever I'm looking for submissions, I'm looking for guard retention. If people are passing a lot, I could see a sub happening. But I thought the ground finish was pretty much not there for Araujo, and I thought the standing KOs, I faded them. We saw one tonight, but standing KOs for women's MMA I'm talking about, usually they're ground finishes. But Aldana, we saw one tonight, but I'm telling you that they're rare. They're rarer than, they don't happen all that much. And I think people just kind of saw recently get knocked out. And so maybe that's why that line was kind of a little off. Soriano and Piaciota kind of like what I expected, a little bit of a chaotic fight. Piaciota had him in a couple grappling positions, but Piaciota ended up just kind of KOing him. But it was a good event, and thanks so much. Give the video a thumbs up, and we have the Korea card next. I'm gonna have plays on that one, and then we have a break, which is good, and then we can kind of gear up for the new year for the McGregor and Cowboy card. So thank you so much, guys. Bye.